Hello everybody, again this is JD. I'm going to mention a couple of people's name in this. I hope they don't get too upset while I'm running for president. The future, our future, where do we have to look? What do we have to do? Well, let's take a look at what the past has given us. What our government has been locked on the last 24 years. Nothing. Okay, enough looking in the past. We have a problem. We need to accomplish it. Our problem is that we are dependent upon oil for too much of our energy. Don't cut it off like our government is doing, saying, oh, we ain't going to develop our oil, we ain't going to do this, we're not going to further pursue it. No, we pursue that to the maximum. We start drilling where they stopped us from drilling. We take the oil and we become a major oil producing nation, while at the same time developing our own technology, our own uses beyond that of oil. Cut our oil use down way low while we increase our production. We will sell it to the rest of the world while we get off of oil. That's what we need to do in the future. How can we do that? Well, remember me talking about the hydrogen car, for example. Run your car with water.com. That's one way to look at it. Another one is, you ever hear of the Tennessee Valley Project? That's where they put in a bunch of hydroelectric plants throughout the country and produce electricity. Well, we can do that today, but I don't think it would be called that. I'd call it the Great Plains window to the world. Window, W-I-N-D, as in windy. If you look at our map of the United States, east of the Rockies, we have the Great Plains and the massive deserts. A lot of wind. That can be harnessed also to produce electricity, which would then take away our dependence on other sources for generating electricity. We can develop it. We need to look at it. If you go to T. Boone's Pickens and listen to his plan, excuse me, Mr. Boone's, for using your name, but it is a sound plan. And it needs to be seriously looked into the future. We need to develop it. Where we develop wind and major. Yes, our pure, clean, panoramic view of the Great Plains may be changed with a bunch of wind veins. And our oceans may have oil stations on them far out to sea where you don't really see them. At least the fishing will be great. And look at the Santa Ana winds in California. Wouldn't it be nice to hear the Santa Ana winds for a change doubling the electrical output on the grid in California instead of burning up the forests? These are things we need to look at. How to develop alternative fuels. We should develop our vehicles so that they get off of the fossil fuel onto the chemical hydrogen, for example. That can be done, and not in the far future. We should look at alternatives for generating electricity. Wind is very viable. The ocean is full of winds. If you don't believe me, join the Navy. Do a few cruises. It is windy out there. The Great Plains. Stand on the Great Plains like in Kansas and stuff and feel that wind. There's a lot of electricity that could be brought from that. And developing hydrogen power. Fossil fuel. But that ain't all. To get into the 22nd century, we need to go beyond that. But we need to start with the first steps. We need to get out and start walking straight to the future. Me as your president, I will look at every nook and cranny to see how to better your life, to make power available to you to run your household as cheaply as possible. How can we bring down the price for you to drive per mile? This $4, $5 a gallon is ridiculous. 25 miles at $5, that's $1 for every 5 miles. That's 20 cents you pay for every mile. Heck, you could ship a package by that. They only charge like 35 cents a mile to ship something. So plain and simple, we need a president who's going to look to the future and look within ourselves to develop our resources. This is important. This is what we need now. We don't need a president who's going to be there worried about whether Iran's going to get a nuclear bomb. We do need to build our defenses for it, but we need a president who's worried about what you need to live every day. We need a president who's going to back our resources for development, not going backwards. I mean, $3 million for developing a battery? Come on, be real. A hydrogen car will outperform any electric car any day of the week. The problem is we don't have hydrogen stations. That's what we need to put up. The wind tunnels of the Great Plains could be producing as much electricity as the Tennessee Valley does on hydroelectric, but we'll be doing it on wind instead of hydro. The Santa Ana winds could be producing all kinds of electricity. California could alleviate a lot of its electrical problems on its grid. There's a lot of things that can be done and can be done now, but we need a president who's going to give the country direction. Our future depends on our development and utilizing our resources to the maximum now. A president who's not got his head in the ground, but one who's up, looking for development, and looking for futures, and looking for beyond tomorrow, beyond next week, but to the far future. Our country needs to be a leader by example, not by what we say. Developing our technology needs to come very much ahead of this environmental thing. And besides that, hydrogen as energy is clean. Wind as energy is clean. Geothermal as energy is clean. It doesn't damage the atmosphere. And developing our oil resources will also give us money and finances from the rest of the world so we can further develop and enhance the life of the American individual. We need to bring us beyond the worries of today into the future, where every American has a secure, comfortable, pleasurable life, where their life, liberties, and privileges are protected by our government. That's the kind of president I am going to be. I'm going to be one that don't care about the stumbling jerks of yesterday. I care about tomorrow and how to make your life better. And we will do everything in our power to develop and increase. And if someone says, oh, that's 5-10 years away, well, if they'd have done it 5-10 years ago, it'd be here today, and we wouldn't be looking at $4 a barrel. $4 a gallon for gas. And we wouldn't be looking at $140, $150 a barrel for oil. No, we'd be looking at a much better today. It's time we get a president who says, don't give me that bull. There's only one reason to do something and to do it right, and that's to do it. You could come up with millions of reasons why not to. We can't afford them no more. We need to do them. Thank you. This is JD. Help me be your president, and I will promise I will do everything I can to help your life be better.